What is going on YouTube? Chrono here and welcome back to another PSO2 video. So today we'll be going over what you need to know to grab from the seasonal shop from the first half of the 2023 spring seasonal event. But before we jump to that, if you guys are new here, as always, my name is Chrono. I primarily cover PSO2 content. Would much appreciate a subscribe as we work our way towards that 10k mark. Funny enough, I just looked at this the other day. Apparently 55-ish% of you guys that watch my videos aren't subscribed. That's a surprising number to me, but would much appreciate if you guys push that number up a little bit higher. I want to see if we can hit that 10k mark by the end of this year. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into this. So the seasonal event actually has some pretty decent stuff. Now this video is more geared towards players who are a bit newer. I know my vet players already know what they want to grab from the seasonal event shop, but some of these things kind of stand the test of time, as in, like, you know, you always want to get them, where others are kind of just nice to have right this very moment. So to start off, if we're going to be going for just what, like, the bare minimum of, like, this is the important stuff I need to get, I'm not going to be farming a ton of points, this is basically the efficiency side, what I would recommend is just grab your star gems. It seems like a lot, but these special scratch tickets are very, very useful. And that's kind of like where I'd be as a bare minimum of what you should be getting. Outside of that, I would probably jump towards, where are they? These masteries. That's pretty much like your big money items or big ticket items when it comes down to it. The price of the gigases are going to be pushed down because they're here essentially. So unless you want to grab these to save for later, this is kind of like your most important, basically your mastery 4. Mastery 4 is probably even cheaper now since this is the second time they've put this in a seasonal event shop, but Mastery 4 is still very good. Even if you don't end up using it, maybe you end up saving it to sell it, maybe you end up stacking it up, which I might be looking at stacking up Mastery 4 fairly soon. But either way, what else should we be looking at? So let's say you're someone who's going to be playing the seasonal event quite a bit and you want to make sure you can get the most out of it, but you're more focused on, let's say, the material side of things. Picking up Blizzardium and Infernium are actually very nice. Technically, all of these would be good to pick up because they're all used towards making Hal Finale. Now, I just have a ton of Photon Chunks and Photon Quartz. They're not hard to get a hold of, but the Blizzardium and Infernium are a bit more difficult, so I would focus on those specifically. These aren't as important, so these do add a bit more. They're not that expensive, though, is the real thing. Like, I mean, realistically, what does that add? I mean, that's like, what, 30k points? That's not that big of a deal. But I would say these two are the more important ones to go ahead and pick up. So what are we going for after that? Well, Dreadkeeper is actually worth quite a bit, so I would go ahead and make sure you pick up Dreadkeeper 4. Not necessarily to use unless you're setting up a very specific build for fighting falls or for fighting Aegis Falls, but go ahead and grab those as well. Outside of that, the next things we'd be looking at would be like more towards like the accessories and things like that. It's up to you really if you really want these accessories. I usually grab accessories just because they're a one-time thing. They're not very expensive. Go ahead and pick them up. That's what I usually go for. So it's up to you really, but these are kind of like when you feel like you want to go for them. I'm never going to wear these. It's more about just collection purposes for my account. Special scratch tickets, always nice to have. Go ahead and make sure you pick those up because those are what you're going to work towards getting more star gems as well as more materials to use for augmenting. If you're someone who's picking up a Trunkle weapon, it's hard to say pick one up from the wild to get the CV for it, because these straight up come with Mastery, Alt Secreta, and Setsune. I mean, Arati Soul is not bad, but you're going to replace that since it's only like, what, 2.75? We have one that's literally 3%, so you're going to want to replace that and go with the better one overall. But like, all of these are what you're going to be using in this setup anyway. If you're going for like a budget Trunkle setup that we talked about in, was in yesterday's video, it was the day before his video. So I would go check out the Power of the Trunkle weapon video that we made not too long ago to kind of see where these weapons fall in. But see, it's kind of hard not to say grab one of these, but I'm very much an individual that likes to get the CV and then move things over, but I have the resources, so I'm also probably not making a Trunkle weapon, to be perfectly honest, but that's a conversation for another day. Armor's not worth. I mean, they have good augments on them, don't get me wrong. I'm actually surprised to see the Qualities and the Vios armors have this on here. Like, this is kind of crazy. But as cheap as most of these are, like Mastery 4 has gone down a substantial amount. Alt Secret has gone down a substantial amount. Trippable's not really that great, but it's also insanely cheap. And you're not going to use a Arati Soul, you're going to use a different soul. I mean, unless you're absolutely brand new, you have nothing to go on, you need something to start with. That's when I'd recommend something like this, just as your very basis to start. Get it up to plus 50. Does it come plus 50 available? Yeah, get it to plus 50. go ahead and slap on an extra augment, you know, retool these around just a little bit, maybe replace this soul, replace this triple, or maybe leave it. It's not the worst in the world, but you know, get the weapon, get the setup somewhat decently, and then work towards a better set of armor, because this is not really what you want to go for, in my opinion, at the very least. Moving on, we're going to go into like, this is, I'm playing every day, I'm maxing out the store, I want to get everything that's going to be worth to me. So this is the order I would probably grab things in. I would take care of the Gigas. I would go ahead and grab my alpha reactors, because like that's easy 100k. Grab 10% augmentation success rates. It may seem like you just have a ton of these, and I have quite a few, but I do a lot of RNG augmenting, so these 10% sometimes can be useful, but you can skip these if you don't really feel the need. This is kind of like the very last thing you should care about. And then outside of that, it would just be making sure to grab my accessories, and you're good to go. That's pretty much it. I mean, if you're really hurting for any of these individual resources, you can go for them. I have a really bad time getting Trinite, so I could pick up an extra 100 Trinite here, but it's not really the end of the world. It's only that's what, 1,000? Yeah, that's not that bad. You can grab basically all of the materials are not bad to get a hold of. I'd skip literally all of these because they're all like 1k a piece. They're not very expensive. They're very easy to make. The deafness, again, not very difficult to get a hold of. No one's really using this outside of like one specific situation. I wouldn't worry too much about that. It's just mostly getting these gigas. Souls have gone down in price substantially since the new soul came out, so I wouldn't worry too much about these either, unless you're in a situation where you're absolutely flat broke. You need to go ahead and augment something. You can get one of yours taken care of from right here. But if we're looking at like, you know, just min max, I want to get everything that's of importance to me to make the most out of the store, and then I'm done completely. That's going to cost you about 689,500 points. So not that bad. Realistically, it's a jump. So I would say tackle this at your own pace. Figure out what it's important to you. Just because I say it's important does not mean it's important specifically to you. So maybe you don't want these things. Maybe you don't care about, let's say, you know, I'm not worried about making HAL finale. So why would I grab, you know, the Blizzardium and the Infernium? I don't play enough. That's totally fine. That's understandable. You can go ahead and take that off of there. If you're not someone who cares so much about, you know, saving the Gigas, because I mean, even right now, Gigas isn't actually used in our best in slot augment setup. This is kind of like a, you know, this is a placeholder augment. You know, that's totally fine. You can take those off. That's going to save you, yeah, that's what, 50,000 each. Yeah, it saves you 50,000 points a piece. So it's very easy to just go ahead and decide what you really don't want to get a hold of, but this is what I'm going to be going for, and this is what I'll probably be farming for on stream most likely. Anyway, guys, that's all I wanted to go ahead and go over with you guys. Don't want to make this too terribly long. If you have any other questions, feel free to toss in the comments below. As always, double check a lot of the stuff on your own ship, because prices do vary, and something may be worth to me, but it may not be worth where you currently are. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to keep up with more, and I'll see you all next time. Take care, everyone. Peace out.